So that's the ending. Huh. I should have expected that. I really should have. It was very obvious from the beginning that this series was probably going to be, go read the manga ending. Like, for instance, an advertisement for the original source. Which, don't get me wrong, it's not always necessarily a bad thing, because I know for a fact that Domestic Girlfriend has gained a lot of attention, and many have got on the manga to start reading it just because of how the anime is. It is a very fascinating piece of literature. So I can see why this is technically in all rights a good advertisement. But even then, it's still a slap in the face for people that kind of like, you know, the anime and don't really want to read a manga. Because when you look at the finale, the final part of this episode of the finale, Rui just saying like, oh, I'm going for you, I won't hold back. It's kind of like resetting the story in a way. And everything that happened to Hina was just for Rui can have a chance. Now, hear me out. As I said, I am all for Rui. She's a great character. But I don't really like how Rui had to get here thanks to Hina's sacrifice. For instance, Hina, she was automatically going to be with Natsu. Like, it was clear as day. If they would not have been discovered, Natsu and Hina were a decided couple. End of the story. Which, granted, the story would have ended very quickly, and I don't think the writer really wants that, because you can't make money if the story's already over that soon. So, it makes sense why. But the point is, though, is that Natsu, he was obviously going to be with Hina. Because they loved each other, they do love each other. Even at the end of the episode, it's clear as day they love each other. Because, I mean, Hina got a copy of Natsu's book, but also kept the ring. It showed it in the ending credits, so it proved for a fact that Hina still has feelings for Natsu. And Natsu, as we know, he's always going to have this feelings of his first crush. That's not something that technically dies down or disappears. So, seeing how this conflict had to happen, for instance, the school finding out, having Hina move away, get really far away, just for Rui can have a chance, I'm not the biggest fan of that, because I would have liked it if there would have been a solid reason, a better reason for Rui to eventually be chosen by Natsu. That's how I feel about the entire situation, because at this moment, Hina, even though I've had my problems with her, and I did say she was toxic, and there's just so many things about her I disliked, at the same time, though, they obviously loved each other. She finally put things aside. You could see that she threw away Shu and she wanted to be with Natsu, and, you know, they were getting together. And her, you know, resolve to actually move away really says a lot about her character. I really appreciate that. I'm glad for her actions and the way she handled that. But at the same time, though, I don't like how the series had to get her out, like completely just exile her just for Rui to be able to win. I'm just like, no, I want to legit win. Like, I don't want that. That doesn't make sense to me. I cannot accept something like that, because that is not a win. Anyone that is a fan of Rui and can accept that, I don't know what to say. Because you're not going to tell me that's a win. That's not. That's not a win. Hina won. She did. She won. She only lost thanks to the story needing to continue. That's it. That's the only reason why she lost. But okay. The series in general. I have heard a lot of things from the manga readers, mainly after episode 6. I've been seeing a lot of fans talk about the anime adaptation being very poor. For instance, it's not as good as the manga. Now, typically, stuff like this usually happens with almost any anime adaptation. There are some things that is swapped around, rotated, you know, excluded and eventually added in later on. Stuff like this typically happens. So, it's normal to see things not one-for-one identical to the original source. However, from what I've been told, is apparently the anime did cut out a very important character. Cut out a side character that's important, cut out some details to the sensei that was teaching Natsu, and there's just a lot of nitty-gritty little details here and there that was cut out, which kind of degrades the quality of the show, because you get a full understanding of the show with these little scenes over time that expand upon characters. So I can see why manga readers were upset. And once again, this goes back to the reason I said. This was obviously an advertisement for the manga, which is a good thing, but also a bad thing for the manga readers, because manga readers, obviously, when they see an anime adaptation, they want to see the scenes that really give them joy, emotion, animated. And when things aren't living up to their expectations, it makes everybody sad or upset. So I perfectly feel everyone on that. And I feel like Domestic Girlfriend, even though I don't think it's a perfect anime or even a really good anime, it's enjoyable for what it is. It is a nice smelling dumpster fire. There you go. Like, it's a dumpster fire, but it's our dumpster fire. It's a very subtle smell. It's kind of like they're burning car fresheners. That's kind of what it is, okay? It's an enjoyable watch. I have enjoyed this series. Not gonna lie, I have enjoyed it. It just, there is some problems I have with it, especially, like I said, this conclusion and the way it was handled. But getting into the main point of what Domestic Girlfriend was about, it was actually kind of about Natsu and his development as a character. And I think if there's one solid thing that this series has done for it, is that it has perfectly grasped what Natsu is as a character, who he is. Because we've seen his upbringing from the start of the series where he was very naive, he didn't really know much about relationships, to someone that was very conflicted and didn't know what he wanted, didn't really have the motivation or didn't have the resolve to go after what he wanted, but eventually he became to where he realized what he needed to say, what he needed to do, and was determined to say what he felt, and then eventually he had his falling down period to where he started lying, and then also he got very sad and depressed, and then he got back up again, started moving forward with his life where he could be able to better himself and actually have a career. We saw the ups and downs of Natsu's character, and it was a very realistic depiction of someone that would go through his type of problems. So I do think that the series did a freaking good job on handling Natsu as a character and showing his change and how he became a really good person towards the end. Now, talking about his book, that's probably one of the centerpieces of the story, is that Natsu has always wanted to be a novelist. He's wanted to make a novel, he wanted to be able to write and make money from it, go pro. And I can respect that, because it's something that, you know, can drive many. I mean, everybody has a dream in their life, I think, and not often do everybody gets the dream they want. Like, you know, it's just something that happens in life. And so seeing Natsu fight for his dream, I can understand. I think many of us can relate and feel that, how far he went, but also putting his passion into his book to be able to get the #1 prize, which, by the way, I think that fits perfectly into what writers have to go through, especially writers that write romance or realistic, you know, slice of life stories. I think what Natsu did is something that many writers have to do. For instance, they take elements from their life, they put their own emotions, their feelings that they're feeling at that time into their book to be able to express themselves. And that's kind of what I get from this, is that Natsu, he put everything that he's been feeling since the beginning of the series into that book, which is why it took him so long. And when it was done, it's kind of like he was empty, because he let everything out. All of his emotions just came leaking to the surface. There was nothing left because he gave everything. He gave everything, his all, to be able to write that. So, it's beautiful. I think it perfectly encompasses what a novelist does, or really good writers, professional writers do when they're trying to write a story. And I know Togashi from Hunter x Hunter, he's someone that's kind of done this as well. For instance, I remember mentioning in an article a long time ago that when he was writing Yu Yu Hakusho, the final antagonist of the story, like at least of the anime and the manga, the antagonist, they were all representations of his emotions, how he felt towards Weekly Shonen Jump, his deadlines, etc., etc. And that right there is, once again, a very good indicator on how this is very relatable. For instance, not so acting like he did. But okay, anything else left to talk about? I guess Let's talk about the photographer for real quick, okay? The photo that caused Hina to get into the situation she was in. Now, you remember last week, I was very upset. I was like, you're not going to tell me someone got a picture like that. I'm a little bit more inclined to believe it now, at least the double-checking of a picture, because it was a professional photographer, someone taking pictures for the school. Okay, I will overlook the fact of, you know, him looking through the photos. Fine. That's fine. Zooming in, looking at everything is okay, because they take their jobs very seriously. But you're not going to tell me on that late of night, from the angle that was at, that you're going to still be able to know it's Hina. I mean, if they nail it down to the room, okay, fine. If they can get that, that's believable. If they know what room Hina's in at that current time, they're like, okay, she's there. But there's no way they're going to know it's not so. From the back of his head, there is just no freaking way that they're going to know that. And even then, even on the off chance, okay, even then, because of how far the picture was, I highly doubt the man zoomed that close in with the way the picture is depicted. Hina most likely could have gotten off with saying, he's my stepbrother, I was talking to him privately, we were hugging, he was going through a difficult issue, he was going through a breakup, and so I was just confronting him because he was very lonely. That's what she could have said. But obviously that did not happen. But that's my point here, is that there's some things that was just stretched a little bit just to get Hina out of the story, which I'm not a big fan about. So that's about it. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, how you felt about Domestic Girlfriend. Did you enjoy it? Did you hate it? Honestly, it's a good series. I did enjoy it, and I would watch it again knowing everything I know now. It just, I wish it didn't end like it did, because I probably won't read the manga, and I highly doubt there ever will be a Season 2, and if there is a Season 2, I highly doubt it'll be of really good quality, because from what I've heard of how much they've kind of destroyed on the second half of Domestic Girlfriend, there's no way that they probably can repair the damage that they did with this anime adaptation. It's kind of sad, really, but I guess I have enjoyed the series for what I've seen. Like, you know, seeing what happened between Hina, seeing what happened with Rui, it is a very enjoyable watch. So that's about it. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoy my content, you know, please subscribe. If you like this video, please leave a like. And if you want to get notified for whenever I upload a video, please click the bell icon down below. And with that, Chibi out.